And we are back with another edition of How About Them Celtics Talking Seas with Bobby Kravitsky. Bobby, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Just got a chance to check out the Isaiah Thomas appearance on View from the Rafters, the Celtics in-house podcast, videocast. So it was cool to hear him just talk about how much the love means to him that he gets from Celtics Nation everywhere he goes globally, and to have people who literally come up to him all the time and say, hey, that was something that got me into basketball. It is a pretty cool anecdote to hear from him.
Yeah, I haven't gotten the chance to check that out. I saw it on Twitter, then I got busy, but I need to take a look at that. IT's a beast, man. Sam still tries to push for the IT return every once in a while, and I have to be the bad guy. And
I was getting the push ready, but
yeah,
I'm out now because they can't give him the number. Now the number's occupied, you can't do it. The number was open, I'd be like, put him on the end of the bench, trot him out there on days like today when they play the Spurs and they should win by $1 billion. But, I mean, I don't think they've been sitting there with an open roster spot all year. It's not like you're losing anything.
I think they don't want to taint what, in their opinion, at least that's what would happen, to bring back a different version of Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, that's my favorite argument against it, because I think that's very fair. You know, you don't want to ruin the image everyone has of him and what he did in the short stint, but I don't know, I feel like he half deserves it.
Regardless, shout out IT. He's a beast, obviously. Celtics coming off a win over the Toronto Raptors, a weird one, as per Joe Mazzulla, this past Monday night. Took home the win in Toronto thanks to some clutch Derek White antics and a big time push from Jayson Tatum in the third quarter. Felt like an awkward game all around. The Celtics were up, and then the Raptors made a push, and then they were up, and then the Raptors made a push. You look at the game chart, looks like a range of mountains, but very odd game. Celtics shot better from 3 than 2 for the second time this season. Bobby, what were some of your top takeaways from that one? It was a very awkward game.
It certainly was. My main one is you go right to the third quarter, which has not been particularly kind to the Celtics overall in recent years. And Toronto comes out on an 18-3 run. And then credit, you said it, Jayson Tatum, he starts attacking downhill. And once they got back to doing that, it allowed them to not only stem the tide, but quickly deliver a haymaker of their own. They go on a 30-9 run. And another key here is that it extended into the final frame with Tatum on the bench. So that was really nice to see as well. And that response set them up, credit the Raptors. They didn't go away, but it was how they were able to counter that slow start to the third quarter that ended up being so forceful, it set them up for the win.
So this was a really great game for the Jalen people. You saw how important Jalen is to this team when he wasn't there at the beginning of the second quarter and things fell apart. Fortunately, like you mentioned, Bobby, the bench was able to rally in the second half and kind of put this one at an arm's length, and Toronto was never able to exactly climb all the way back. It did get close, and it got scary, but it never got to that point where head and hands. It wasn't that bad. But overall, I was very impressed with Derek White and Drew Holiday, their ability to step up and kind of pick up that slack as leaders of the second unit. We've seen Holiday do it in the past. The Kings game where Tatum was out is a good example of that, where he kind of had to take over, lead those bench guys, and he did a good job of it. And it was an efficient day for him. Derek White remained clutch. So I liked a lot of what we got to see in that game.
Yeah, it just felt like the flow was off a lot. You saw some good stints. You saw some good plays from some of the Celtics top players. Obviously, like y'all mentioned, Tatum and Derek White came in clutch. Derek White had a season high, 22 points as well. He was solid in that game. It almost feels like whenever one of the Celtics top 6 guys are out, they are very much missing the niche things that those guys bring to the table. Like in that Raptors game, it sort of felt like the offense just couldn't find any flow. Jaylen Brown pushes the pace and gets them in transition, gets those easy buckets, helps them find a rhythm that way. Without him, for some reason, even though they had probably the 4 best players on the court, they were still struggling to find that offensive consistency. When Kristaps was out a few nights ago, I forget exactly which game it was, they were struggling to find anything in the post, and they were struggling to make their, looks around the rim a little bit. And I mean, that's what he does. So they almost have to find a way to keep playing the way that they play when one of those guys is out. It was the Minnesota game when they were struggling a little bit, despite Rudy Gobert being out because KP didn't play. But again, not an excuse, just interesting to see how they react when one of their top guys is out. But that said, speaking of top guys being out, injury report is long for the Celtics game tonight against the San Antonio Spurs. Wembanyama is in town to take on the Celtics for the second and final time this season. Last injury report that came out of Boston at 10:30 a.m. We're recording this at 11:18. Has Kristaps Porzingis questionable, Derek White questionable, Drew Holiday questionable. So they could be without some of their top players. That said, the last time they played the Spurs, beat them by a lot of points. Poppy, what are you expecting in the second Spurs game? Who do you think will step up? And then the wrinkle that we did a video on today, Jordan Walsh is available. Is that just them saying maybe he'll play in garbage time, or is that them saying few guys out, maybe he can get in the rotation?
I wouldn't say rotation, but if guys are out and maybe this is tipping their hand, it's an extra body and a chance to get Jordan Walsh some NBA minutes. Again, it might not come until the end of the game. I don't know if he's going to jump anyone from the Stay Ready crew for minutes, but we'll see, I guess. I think it's also an opportunity for him to get some run against players on the roster behind the scenes. And there's a lot of value in that development for Jordan Walsh. So rather than doing however today would have been, and maybe it's even an off day for the main Celtics, I don't know their schedule, let alone their practice schedule, but it's at least an opportunity for him to go against higher quality competition, regardless of whether he even gets into this game against the Spurs or not. So there's value in how today's being spent for Jordan Walsh, which is nice. And when it comes to this Spurs game, the big thing is obviously the 7'5" skeleton himself, Victor Wembanyama. And he had plenty of impressive moments, including when Derek White goes for the ball. Wembanyama picks it up and all of a sudden it's out of sight and he's throwing it down. And so it'll be interesting to see, because in that game on Monday, Hawks Spurs, even Trae Young of all people was roasting San Antonio for, hey, there were a lot of really easy opportunities for him to score, and it felt like they weren't getting him the ball. They do have Trey Jones, who's now in that starting role, but for so long they've been without a traditional point guard, and they don't have another one on the roster. And so is that something where Greg Popovich is like, hey, it's almost mandated now. We can't be missing him in these opportunities. You can't choose not to pass it to him, and you can't not see it from a failed execution standpoint either. So it's curious to see if Wembanyama gets to eat a little more tonight.
As far as Jordan Walsh goes, I'm excited for him to potentially make his NBA debut. I like that it's going to maybe happen at home. I just feel like that's a more friendly environment for him. You're going to have a lot of excitement going throughout the stands if he does check into the game. I think people have been high on him for a while. They were excited about him in Summer League. So an actual chance for him to appear in an NBA game is huge. As far as the Spurs go, they have that record for a reason. I think Bobby makes a good point about them not utilizing Wembanyama maybe to the best of their ability. I don't know if that has to do with them trying to tank. It very well could. A lot of people felt like the Sohan point guard experiment had to do with that, where they were still trying to see if they can cash in on another top pick and do it by the way of just misusing one of their younger players, younger prospects. But Celtics should have this one, regardless of who plays. Doesn't mean it's going to be a gimme, but you should be able to take care of business. This is a team that's lost plenty of games. They've been in it against good teams. They almost beat Milwaukee. That was a really thrilling game down in San Antonio. They had two chances to tie it, and they missed them both. So, I don't know. Always going to be fun as a fan to watch Wembanyama play and all his freak abilities that he has. So, yeah, should be a fun one at the very least. Also, home win streak.
Home win streak is very much true. The Sohan thing, I think, was the Spurs' way of getting their five best players on the floor at the same time. That being Sohan, Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Wembanyama, and then Zach Collins, who they wanted to play at center so Wembanyama could play the four. Obviously didn't work. Sohan expressed that he was uncomfortable in the role, and it obviously didn't go very well.
We know, Jeremy.
Yeah, it wasn't great. He got swapped out pretty quick. Trey Jones is taking over that spot now. Malachi Branham gets a little bit of run when he's not hurt. Wembanyama has been on a minutes restriction. I think he's still on a minutes restriction because he got hurt ahead of their game against the Mavericks at the end of December. He stepped on the ball boy's foot and turned his ankle. A lot of Mavericks fans were upset. A lot of Spurs fans were upset. It was a freak injury, but he has been frustrated. He checked himself in to a game against the Spurs, and Pop had to check him out like less than a minute later. He was like, "What are you doing?" So that's kind of funny. So he's been frustrated with the minutes restriction, but it has been a thing. He's also not playing in back-to-backs, but the Spurs, for what it's worth, have also been playing a lot better lately. They have a couple of those, still we're a bad team. We're going to get, our butts handed to us, losses in there, but 4-point loss to Milwaukee, which was a great game. 2-point loss to Cleveland, which was a great game. Beat Detroit and Charlotte, which doesn't sound like much because those teams stink, but beat them by 22 and 36 for a team like the Spurs. That pretty much matches, a lot of their plus minus for the season. So that's huge. And then a 6-point loss to the Bulls without Wembanyama. And then they did get spanked by the Hawks in the first half. We're down by 35 at half and brought it back to a 10-point loss. So they've been playing a lot better. Not saying they're anywhere close to the Celtics, but you can start to see the wheels turning a little bit in San Antonio. We're like, all right, we're learning how to play together. We're learning Wembanyama, where he wants the ball, how we play through him. And I will say, once Wembanyama gets, that NBA readiness with him, once he gets the players ready to learn how to play with him, like the talent's there. Like they could start winning whenever they figure that out. So again, not on the Spurs level, but have been playing a lot better than the we're going to lose by 30 every night Spurs of early doors. So interesting to see how that plays out. Anything else, Bobby? Anything else we should get into today?
Yeah, I think we covered it all. I mean, the only thing left would be Dennis Schroeder with his message to Tatum on the signed jersey saying, "Go win that chip." PS top 5. So
I can co-sign that. You guys, you want to go win that chip? We can get behind that one.
It would be great for us to be able to cover a championship run.
Fine with me. Views. Need the views. It would be great for the championship run. But yeah, cool. Do you guys want to do some trivia?
We are on to trivia.
All right, let's see what I got for y'all. See what I got cooking up. I put the best ones I had on top. We can go with we'll rock with this one. Okay. From 1970 through 2021, the Celtics selected 7 different players with a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. Name those 7 players. Now, I believe who won the last round? I think Bobby won the last round too, right?
I'm on a 3-game winning streak. Again, don't look over at the aggregate score, but it is a 3-game win streak.
It is big time. Let me pull up the sheet we got. But Bobby, yeah, it will be your pick first then in that case. So again, 1970 through 2021, Celtics have selected 7 different players with a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. Name those 7 players.
Antoine Walker.
No.
You know what's funny? I had someone in mind, and then I wasn't sure, and I switched it, and that was
wow.
Big swing and a miss to start. This might cost me this whole game.
That is brutal. Sam, I'll let you.
Jayson Tatum.
Yeah, Tatum's on there. That is in fact true.
All right, Bobby, I've put myself behind the 8 ball, so I'll just go with Jaylen Brown.
Yeah. You got to get the easy swings out of the way. Back to you.
Wow, well done. True.
Big time. Bobby?
Larry Bird.
No.
1970
through 77 through 2021. Larry Bird, I think, was 6. Yeah. Let me double check here.
He was 6th.
Yeah, he was 6th.
All right, so this one's gonna go Sam's way.
Brutal. Sam, all you.
Chauncey Billups.
Yep. That was who. So I was gonna do that, and then I got in my head that it was that maybe it was Ron Mercer first, but it was not, and so that's what I ended up with Antoine Walker, and we've spiraled.
Yeah.
Top 5 picks, Celtics since 1970.
There are 1, 2, 3 guys left, I think. So Bobby, a sweep here does win you it. So if you can get it unlocked, but I think Sam still has some of the bank, so this could be tough. What are we thinking? Ron Mercer was 6th, by the way, so you were right that one was before the other, but Very tough.
I'm sure there was some big whiffs in the 90s. How many of these guys are from the 90s?
I don't think any of
None?
them. I don't think any of them. No. I
Okay,
can
then
double
I'm not
check.
confident in this guess, but we're at chuck it from deep territory. So Kevin McHale.
Yeah. Kevin McHale's on the list.
Yep.
Correct. Sam, back to you.
Jeff Green.
Yeah.
Oh, sneaky.
On the list.
That's sneaky.
Yeah.
Well done.
One left. Bobby, keep it close. I don't know if Sam has this one, but last guy on the list is right here. I'll give y'all a clue once you both guess one more time, but here we go. What do we got?
Looking around at positions.
Mm.
Okay, again, I know that this is not accurate.
Mm.
I can't remember when Al Jefferson was picked, but that's not my guess. I'm actually going with Joe Johnson.
Nope, not Joe Johnson. Sam?
I'm a pass. I don't have any in mind. It would have been Ron Mercer, but you guys spoiled that one. So,
clue from 1970, not since 1970. That's the key word here. So it's a very important word in this question, I'll say. So that should give away something.
It does, but come on, man.
I'll say very well-known player. I'll put it that way. Very, very well-known player.
John Havlicek.
Damn.
Is it Dave Cowens?
Yeah, Dave Cowens. Last one, 1970 draft, fourth overall, excuse me, by the Celtics, 1970. Very key word in that question, from, not since. So got that unlocked. Tough one, Bobby. You're riding that 3-gamer, and then
we were hot, but this was 3 games in 4 days.
This was
Second
my
night
game
of
6.
a back-to-back. We didn't have the legs.
Sam's game 6 is true. Yes, Sam is Klay Thompson in this scenario. But
this was
what does that mean
Klay.
for my legs?
Yeah, good luck in game 7, buddy, is what it means. We'll see what happens. All right, Bobby, any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
Series is still 3-3, so I feel good about it.
That it is. Thank y'all for tuning in to Talking C's. Let us know what you thought of the Raptors game, and if you see it before the Spurs game, what you think of that one, and if you would have gotten the trivia. Thank y'all for tuning in. I'll let Sam wrap it up.
Hey, thank you very much for listening today. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. How about them Celtics? You'll get full pods, game recaps, film breakdowns, Talking C's with Bobby like this one, rumor breakdowns. You also get our 30-minute live streams before each game. They're a ton of fun, so you don't want to miss them. Come hang out in the chat. Big thanks to Bobby for hanging out with us. You can follow him on Twitter at Bobby Kravitsky. You can read his work on Inside the Celtics, part of SI Media. So once again, big thanks to him. If you want to follow us on audio platforms, you can do so on Spotify and Apple. If you do that, the pods and game recaps will go right to your inbox. If you want to, speaking of inboxes, email inbox. Ours is hbtcpod@gmail.com. If you reach out there, we'll read your email on the show and respond to it. Our socials are at How About Them C's, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. The Facebook is just the name of the pod. Our pregame streams are there and on Twitter. Jack's Twitter is at Jackson NBA. Mine's at Samuel France NBA. That's it for us.
Taco, come on. Taco's having some fun here. That is bogus. These guys are ridiculous.